Right.
Are we back online yet?
1 second, Chair. You are now live on Facebook, Chair.
Thank you very much. We'll resume the meeting then. We were discussing the draft tourism strategy consultation. I did say that I wasn't going to attempt to pump you for information at the moment, and having only just dropped it on you. But perhaps, Angie, you could tell us something about, you were going to plan the consultation. Have you managed to do much on that yet?
Yes, Chair. But basically, we've just finished the survey document, which will be coming to you as you're chairing the Tourism Strategy Group for final approval. And then we hope to have it out, I would guess, probably later this week, probably Wednesday or Thursday. We're hoping it will be live. I think it's worth saying, perhaps, Chair, there are two aspects to it. This survey is purely on the draft strategy itself, for which comments will be collated, and then obviously the document will be revised as the strategy group would like, following those comments, and then it will come back to council for final approval in May. And then there is a separate surveys which are, as various people were talking about, of consulting the public on perhaps why they love Dawlish or why they're visiting, what the why they've come in a short survey way, and we're working on how to do that. But this first bit is the actual consultation on the actual draft strategy itself. I see there are some hands raised, Chair.
Yes, please. Who was first? Val, were you first?
Probably. I still had it up at the end of the last time. Thank you, Paul. I wanted to respond to what Jan was saying, and partly what you were saying, because I attend and take part in all these different groups, and the trail that you were talking to. There's a lot of work going in, and it is progressing well, Jan, in particular, for a play trail which will lead up from the start of the lawn. In other words, people come off the sea because the tide's in, they've got the golf, crazy golf, but then they will be led along small, interesting items up through the lawn, with the idea of taking them on up to the Manor Gardens, where that play park will be much enhanced. In fact, it's referred to as a flagship play park. So that answers one of your questions. And I would also just wish to remind, I know Angie and Councillor Lowther obviously will know this, and everyone else who's been on the events committee in the past. There was previous talk about how it was possible to have occasional items, for example, down near the piazza in particular. And we were talking about sort of mini Ferris wheels and swing boats and all kinds of things which could be brought in for a period at a time and changed. And I hope that would still be on the agenda, because that is great for families and children, and it can change. Obviously, we're still having difficulties because of the overall COVID situation. But I'm sure that that is something that needs to be brought in future, so that everything isn't static.
Yes.
We have new things coming along, a carousel maybe, or whatever, for a couple of months at a time, once we get back to some kind of normal.
Yes, yes, I think that's right. I mean, I've always been opposed to building anything permanently on the lawn, but I quite like the idea of bringing things in temporarily, you know, a week at a time or 2 weeks or whatever. Jan, you're muted, I think.
I just want to thank Mel for letting me know what's happening with the trail, because it's one of the things grandparents take their children on every time they come to Dawlish. And we haven't got one in Dawlish, we've got one in other areas nearer. But those trails is what children love, because it's more educational for them and it helps them. And to get them off into the other part, where most people don't know it's there unless you live in Dawlish, it would be brilliant for that area, because it's a lovely area and it's wasted because nobody really goes in there except a few locals. But that's absolutely brilliant, and thank you for letting me know that. I hope it can share it.
Obviously, I'm not Councillor Linda Pedrick.
No. Well, I'll on her then.
Vanessa has a view too, I think.
Mhm.
Yes, I wasn't actually going to talk about that, but yes, it is coming on nicely, and it's good to see it developing with the possibility of some money as well. So hopefully we're getting there. But what I was going to mention was I think it was Councillor Lowther was mentioning about ecotourism.
Yeah.
And of course, in Dawlish Against Plastic, we're very interested in ecotourism. We've got a project at the moment where we've purchased a number of Ramblers booklets, which are a new version of a booklet that they've had out for a while, but they've redone it. So we've got this new version, and we've distributed 200 free to businesses to give out to people, specifically for Dawlish and Teignmouth and surrounding areas walks. They're on average sort of 3 to 5 miles. There are longer ones, there are shorter ones, but we're hoping to get some more money now to get another lot. We are able to purchase them from the Ramblers at cost price, so that's quite good for us to be able to distribute them to tourism businesses. They've already been distributed to quite a few. Obviously they're limited numbers, but at least it is getting out to some people. And I think it came about because the Ramblers normally sell these booklets through the Tourist Information Centre, which of course is not available to them anymore. So they got all these booklets and not able to get rid of them. So that it was partly to help them get rid of some more booklets, but also to promote healthy and eco activities among locals and tourists. So I don't know, there'll be other things that we haven't explored much further yet in terms of what we'd like to see, but I think it's very much a focus for us, ecotourism, and so we will be thinking on a bit more about it. And I hope it will dovetail into your project and what you want to do.
Yeah.
So,
We're looking to interlock as many of these programs as possible. Yes. Thank you for that, Vanessa. Anybody else?
Anne Lee has a hand raised, Chair.
Just going back to the lawn, or at least to the Manor Gardens again, are you envisaging some sort of refreshments up there? Because, I mean, obviously I'm very close to that area. I was very conscious when we've had people up for the vaccinations, we've had inquiries as to where they can get drinks. Now, I know at the moment it is difficult anyway, but if you are actually up in that area, you're not conscious of any eating places, drinking places anywhere within reach. Would you envisage having a stall or something up there?
Sorry about that. Yes, Anne.
Well, I think I've finished. Martin's got his hand up now.
All right.
To
Yes, Peter
answer
Martin.
Thank you. It's interesting you should say that, Anne, because it's something that does often come up. And whether there is need for sort of more facilities up there, you know, we have talked, there is no sort of agreement and there's no sort of plan in place, but it would be interesting to see what people think. You know, we've talked about the idea of maybe building a small hut just off the car park there, so you could feed it from the car park, and you could have somebody there with a hut. I mean, imagine something a bit like the Corriton Cove,
I'm going to say like Cove Cafe.
Cove Cafe sort of thing, which would then be something that sort of also overlooked the play park area, with some sort of, you know, so you've always got eyes on it, which then gets over some of the security concerns and things. That's been one idea that was floated. Another idea that was floated was doing something in the Riverside Centre, and having
Yes.
that as more of a sort of some sort of concession operating out of there, down in the bottom of the garden. So I mean, there are ideas that have been talked about, but I don't think there is anything yet that has got any consensus of opinion behind it. But there are possibilities, and if that's something that people feel would be valuable or would add value to that part of town, then that's certainly something that can be looked at. And that's the whole point of this this strategy, to sort of find out those things and those key things that the council can help to enable, that will make a difference to open up these other areas of the town.
Indeed. One thing we talked about 10 years ago when we were talking about doing up the manor was the thought of doing something with the conservatory, maybe making that into a tea room.
Yeah.
So because it faces the right way, and we could have tea on the lawns and all that sort of thing. So yes, it's been a subject of discussion for a long time, all sorts of ideas. And as Martin says, you know, it's all grist to the mill.
That'd
All
be
good
ideal,
ideas.
I would think. Yes, to develop something down there.
And it would answer a need, as we've heard. All right, any other thoughts?
Vanessa Riley's got a hand up, Chair.
Yes, Vanessa, go for it.
You're muted.
Yes, it takes me a while to get there. Of course, when you're talking about concessions for drinks, you've got to have toilets.
Yep.
I hate to get down to basics, but that has got to go alongside it. And whatever happens up there has to happen alongside toileting facilities.
Yeah.
And of course, baby changing facilities alongside that. So there's quite a lot to think about there. But I'm absolutely convinced that that area, with all the plans for it, can only really be successful if children are able to go to the loo after they've had their drink.
I think you're right. Yes.
And it is so important, you know, it's through the whole age groups, really, everybody.
I was tempted to say that, but I thought, well, they may say that it's quick enough to go down to the public toilets.
No, it's not, is it? When
Even
you've got a
the
child
toilet
or two saying, I need to go now.
Absolutely. Yes. 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 Good point.
I
Vanessa.
agree.
Yeah. Good point. Anybody else?
Just if I may, Chair, maybe it's worth saying that obviously lots of good conversations going on, but we need to capture that in the written consultation that's going to go out. So if people can make the points in the consultation, which will be online and in paper as well. So just maybe to make that point, Chair.
Thank you for making it for me. But you're absolutely right. Yes. Yes, we don't want to lose any of those thoughts. In fact, Angie will probably be making a note of them as I speak. Thank you, Angie. Well, that's with apologies perhaps for going on longer than I originally intended, because I usually try to get meetings over within the hour. But of course, the recollection break added to that. I hope you were happy to do that. I went outside and there were quite a few people standing at doorways with lights, so it's nice to see that people are supporting it. So all it remains for me to do now is to resume standing orders, which means that Angie, you're about to say something?
It's just, it's fine, Chair. I just think you need to vote. That'd be fine. It's resumed standing order. It's not just resuming standing orders. It's just because obviously you only suspended the part of standing orders, which is where organisational representatives can speak. Okay.
That's it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Andrew, for helping with that. But resuming at standing orders has become to the end of the period where people from organisations are allowed to speak, and return to the boring business, which is the council bit, which is just enough to end the meeting. So it's 8:20 and the meeting's closed. Thank you ever so much for attending. Thank you for all your brilliant ideas. We've got quite a lot of stuff to think about. It's great. Thank you. And good night, as I say. It's good night from Noah, and it's good night from me.